This is awesome.
Oh, fuck. Hey. Good to see you among the living, man. Check it out. It's the latest talent mix.
Thanks, Pete.
Good to see you all among the living. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Talent Mix. It's the Smallville recap podcast that promises it won't encase you in some sort of weird, waxy film and trap you in a recreation of your high school, like happened in this episode. I'm Brian here, as always, with my pals, Zach.
I can't make that promise. I can't make that promise, Brian. That's all I'm saying.
All right. One half of the Talent Mix promises it has no intention of doing that. Zach, hi. How are you? Do you remember your last day of high school?
Oh, yeah, vividly. Well, I wouldn't say vividly.
Was it interesting? Was it of note in any way?
No. I mean, it was of note in that it was my last day of high school, and it was fun. You know, like spirits were high all around, right?
Sure.
I partially remember it well because I filmed a good chunk of it.
Okay.
With my personal camcorder, because at the time phones didn't have like really good quality video.
Right, you had to just have a video camera, a dedicated device.
Yes, exactly. So I remember.
Did you
that
have a nice
stuff.
One with like digital, or like I had my video camera was like a VHS-C tapes. They were these chunky.
Oh, yeah.
Half videotapes, and they were terrible.
Yeah. I had those, or is that High 8? Was that? It's similar.
High 8. Like, that was
You put it into a VHS adapter and put it in the VHS player.
Yes. There was like a full VHS, and that was the only one I ever had. I never had one that I could edit I could only crash edit on the VCR.
Right. Well, that was nice at a certain point in time. I had that one. I was super into movies since I was a kid, so I got a camcorder in middle school. That's the one I got in middle school. And then in high school, I got the mini DV digital.
Got it.
So that one
I
you
was
can edit on
one of those and never
computer.
Got it.
Yeah.
I was always like, if I could get the mini DV one, then the talent would come. Because the thing was, nothing. I was one of the kids, like I was playing with the video camera, making movie. They were nothing.
Well, they're never anything at that point in time, right?
Not even like an inkling of like. It's one of those things your own parents look at, like maybe you need a different hobby. They never said that, but they thought it more than once.
That's the easiest thing to do, is to like, for anyone to look at like why you're not where you want to be and be like, I just don't have the tools. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes that's true. But sometimes you get the tools and you're like, oh, that wasn't the only obstacle in the way.
No, I have convinced myself, Zach, more than one time that my Oscar-winning screenplay is one super comfortable chair away. And once I get that comfortable chair, everything's going to fall into place.
Yeah, you're going to fall asleep. It's too comfortable.
I don't think that's the issue. I don't think Quentin Tarantino's ever complained about his chair. I'm sure he's complained about a chair in his life.
Yeah, if he did it for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then started referencing like movies that have chairs in them, and
right, of course. And then, oh fuck, it was gold. It was gold.
Yeah.
Zach, do you watch anything good this week?
I watched. Speaking of Quentin Tarantino, I had never seen From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, I haven't either. TBA, I've seen bits of it on cable in the past.
I watched it. It is such an interesting little artifact of the 90s, man. It is very interesting because it's at the moment when Tarantino just blew up. He's only made Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction at that point.
So one took him to the Oscars, but
right. He's done a lot of script doctoring, I think. And then Robert Rodriguez just has Desperado was his big
hit. Right. It was El Mariachi before that, but that wasn't a hit by any means.
Right. And then Desperado was the hit of that. Right. And then So Tarantino is like the second lead of the movie,
Right. So weird.
and he actually is really good.
I
Like,
believe
I
it.
was shocked because in
He
his own
has a
movies
certain
he's
screen
like
presence.
right, but in his own movies I'm always like meh.
Sure.
But in this, he plays a real creeper, and he does a really good job. The first half of the movie is very much a Quentin Tarantino like thriller, with two brothers kidnap a family because they're running from the law, and it's quite good. And then it takes a turn, which I'm sure you know about.
Of course.
Like over an hour into the movie,
Wow.
it just suddenly becomes a completely different movie. And I knew that going in, but I didn't know how much different, because
Yeah, wow.
it's not just that it becomes like a supernatural thing.
Right.
The tone completely changes.
Huh. Interesting.
And I love that in theory, and
Got
I
it.
appreciate the swing, but my problem is the genre movie that it turns into in the second half is not very good.
Sure. Got it.
In my opinion,
was this
it was
Rodriguez directed?
yes. Quentin
Got
Tarantino wrote it and he directed it.
Got it.
And
got it.
I highly recommend watching it, though. It's such a weird, interesting little artifact.
Yeah, I definitely should. Is it on Tubi? Our favorite service, Tubi.
It might be
If
on.
not, it'll end up there at some point.
I think it's on HBO Max.
Got it. I'm
Or
sorry, Zach. You mean Max?
I apologize. What the fuck is HBO Max?
Yeah.
Did I just make that up?
Oh man, fuck this. I'm just gonna keep saying it, even though it won't be relevant, because this will come out next week. But we just realized we have to, because they launched a whole new app, and which is insane.
Right.
But
I had to log back into it.
That's what we were like. We came out to log back in. Emily's got the big complicated passwords. And we were like, well, we were just going to browse. There's nothing. We have to get on before Sunday, because a bunch of people are going to try to log back in before the Succession series finale.
Ooh, smart.
And it's going to fucking crash, right?
Oh, no.
So we have to
they
get
should
that
send an
set
email
up.
out. They should send an
Seriously.
email. Oh, no.
There's absolutely no way it's not going to be, just from what we know of how these things work, right? Like, it is going to be a disaster.
Why do you have to log back in? That's insane. Because you log back in, Brian, and guess what?
What?
Looks the fucking same.
Fuck. Like, that's insane. That's insane. Surely that's enough of a barrier to stop people from like watching it ever again. Like that's how small the barrier is, and that's how hard it is to get anyone to do anything. Like literally, like right now. Like right now, I'm not calling anybody out right now, but like you're sitting there in your car or on the subway, and right now you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. Hey, could you, on your podcatching app of choice, rate us 5 stars? You're not going to do it. And I know that because you haven't. You listening haven't done it. I'm not mad at you. I'm just using it as an example of how hard it is to get anyone to do. It's literally, you could just pull out your phone and do it right fucking now.
Yeah. I've worked in customer service for a long time, and sometimes whatever company you're working for will have surveys for the customer to fill out. And anytime I've ever gotten one that was like complimentary, it's felt so good, Brian. Like stupid how good it's felt.
Yeah,
Stupid.
Sure.
How many times have I done this for another customer service person?
Yeah. No.
One time in my life. Once I've gone out of my way and taken the 2 minutes to go online and fill out the customer service, how did my person do? Right.
Yeah, it's so easy to not do anything.
Right. Yes. What I'm trying to say is it's not my fault. The world is to blame. That's what
definitely. And it's so I worked in social media marketing for a very long time. And they want everything. The people in the suits, the people with the money want everything. And you kind of, when you work in social media marketing, you need to tell people, like, what do you actually want to focus on? Do you want people to click this? Do you want people to click the link? Do you want them to like the post? Do you want them to share the post? Which of those do you want to prioritize? Because they're doing one. I mean, don't get me wrong, 99% of people are doing zero.
Yeah,
and
right.
then
Yeah,
a very
yeah.
small sliver of people are doing one thing. And it's that simple. That's just you. How do you browse social media? You do nothing.
Right.
And yet they're still like, but all of it though. Give all things though. And get $5 from them.
And do it today.
Yes. Ugh.
So I watched From Dusk Till Dawn. I'm glad I watched it. I don't know that it works, but highly recommend you check it out.
I'm like, I'm glad I watched it. Like, I think this is an interesting one. Yeah.
Anthropologically, like, it's just like
definitely
interesting. Oh, and this is a movie, Brian, that talk about not aging well, or not that, but like as far as like things they wouldn't let you get away with today. There's a few of them in this movie.
Sure, I believe that.
Yeah.
I think that goes across Quentin Tarantino's filmography.
Yeah, for sure. But this is an extraordinary case of it. Highly recommend you watch it. Highly recommend.
Great.
I'm not saying that to the audience because I don't know you and kind of where your threshold is. I'm saying to Brian, the person who goes out of his way to watch truly horrific things.
Yum.
You should watch this movie. Yum. Feed me terrible
Amazing.
stuff.
Give it to me. Oh, give it to me. What else? What else do you watch?
Honestly, that might have been it. I started watching the movie Black Moon Rising. What was that again? That's the Tommy Lee Jones supercar movie on Tubi. I've watched about 25-30 minutes. It's exactly what I thought it would be, which is wonderful and
beautiful.
Not that good at the same time. Like, perfect. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna finish it, and I'm enjoying every second of it. So
beautiful. Speaking of that, speaking of fucking Tubi watches, I don't know. Should I get my real movies out of the way, or should I get my crap out of the way first? I'll get my real ones out of the way. I watched Love and Basketball about an hour before I finished that up. About an hour before we started recording. I had never seen it before. Sometimes I get movies from the library that just like I should have seen this by now. And then hoping that like it sitting on my coffee table will be like, nope, I should watch this finally. Finally watch it. It's delightful. It's very lovely.
Okay.
I've
never seen it. I've never seen it.
Highly recommend.
I know that they play one-on-one for love at the end.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
And it's
that was in the trailer. I remember that being in the trailer.
It's a great script. Both of the lead actors are great. The woman who directed it, it's what was her name? It's Gina Prince Bythewood. She would go on to direct The Woman King that was popular this past year. But this was lovely. I'm excited to dive into the DVD we got is the Criterion Collection one.
Sweet.
And it's got a ton of special features, and I'm looking forward to diving in on them.
Did you see Woman King?
I did. I watched it. I liked it. I was kind of tired. I got to give it that asterisk. My phone was out, which is a compromised viewing, but I liked what I saw.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't see it. I was just curious.
It was one of those, it wrapped up. My wife really liked it. I was like, I'm going to watch it again at some point.
Yeah.
But I did like it. It was rather from the mood I was in, the position I was in on the couch. I was like, I'm gonna like that more legitimately when I watch it more earnestly.
Right.
I think that would. I mean, yeah. I guess that's it for real movies. Oh no, I watched Rent-A-Pal. This came out in 2020. It's currently available on Shudder. Okay, step out of the movie for a moment. In our real life, in the 1980s, a VHS was released called Rent-A-Friend, and it's as sad as it sounds. It was a man on screen who would have one side of a conversation, and he was meant to be your VCR pal. And be like, hey, what's your name? You look like a blah, blah, blah.
That's not real.
It's so extremely real. I don't think it was successful or anything.
No.
I think it is a weird artifact of sadness in like the early the Wild West days of the VCR.
Yeah, it reminds me of that Community episode with the VHS game that they play.
Yes. It is real. I have looked it up. My friends and I have watched the whole thing. It is woof. It'd be sadder if I thought anyone bought it. I don't think this thing was successful, But this movie called Rent-A-Pal, Will Wheaton plays the Rent-A-Friend on the VHS. And this movie is about a sad, lonely guy who becomes obsessed with this Rent-A-Pal VHS tape. Horror is a little character piece horror. Really good. Really good. Not great, not perfect. Had a really enjoyable time with it, though. A great lead performance. Will Wheaton's really fun as the creepy Rent-A-Pal. Kind of pops off at the end in a really fun, crazy way. It's on Shudder. I really liked it.
Cool. All right. Rent-A-Pal.
Rent-A-Pal. I had not heard of it. My wife had, and my friends and I have a movie night on Wednesdays, and
cool.
All the babies who can't do horror movies didn't come, so we were like, we're picking a horror movie. And Emily had heard that one was good, and it was. So on Tubi, I watched Hide and Seek from 2005. You told me to bring this one up.
Oh yes, we never talked about it.
Right.
But why don't you give your piece first, and then I'll tell you my little anecdote.
Hide and Seek was exactly kind of what I thought it was going to be. It's a very bad 2005 thriller horror thing. It's kind of The Ring was popular, The Sixth Sense was popular. Let's put a veteran actor, Robert De Niro, with a spooky child. A movie. She draws creepy. See, there was a lot of these, right? It's terrible. It's really, really bad, but it's 2005, really, really bad, which is incredibly watchable. Robert De Niro sleepwalking through a role is better than what most of us can do,
Right. Yeah.
And it has a twist. Don't watch this movie. Look, I'm going to spoil Hide and Seek. You either saw Hide and Seek or you've never heard of Hide and Seek. I'm spoiling Hide and Seek. It has a Fight Club ending. Robert De Niro they think there's a spooky thing happening and the daughter has an imaginary friend. It's his alternate personality. He has multiple personalities, which was all over the 2000s. The 2000s loved this twist.
That's my anecdote is... When that movie came out on DVD, I was working at Blockbuster Video.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch it, but someone told me what the twist was. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's the same twist that like 4 other movies on our new release wall have.
Yeah.
So I bunched them all together and put them all on the same shelf of all these movies that had basically the same twist ending. I'm trying to remember what was on there. I remember there's one. I don't want to ruin it, though, if anyone wants to see the movie. Spoiler alert for Secret Window with Johnny Depp. The same fucking thing, basically.
That was the movie. I've never seen Secret Window. That was the movie I bought tickets to get into Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind because I was not 17 and they would not let me in.
Definitely a better movie than Secret Window, which I don't think is a bad movie, but... yeah, the twist basically was that the guy was doing things and didn't realize it. He was the antagonist, the force of antagonist.
Right. Was the Fight Club the genesis of this? Was that the genesis of that twist?
I mean, it was definitely. I don't know if it was the first one ever, but it was definitely like that was the beginning of that run of those twists.
Right. But it's the good in Fight Club. Is the thing.
Right. And then I think all the other ones were like horror movies or thrillers that tried it.
Right. Man,
It's
crazy.
What was I don't know if this was on the wall, but Identity had a similar thing.
Identity has a very similar thing. There's a lot of characters, and they're all not John Cusack. John Cusack is also in. There's just another guy.
Yeah.
And they're all this other guy.
Yeah. That reminds me of, do you remember the movie Adaptation?
Yes.
That reminds me of the script that Nicolas Cage's brother is writing in that. I guess he's Nicolas Cage too. The Three, where they're like three personalities, and like I always
exactly
think of that. Yeah.
I haven't seen Adaptation in a long time.
Me either. I need to rewatch it. It's a classic.
And then finally, I've been rewatching. I'm seeing Fast X tomorrow. So I've been trying to make my way through all the Fast and Furious movies. I might not make it in time. But here's the thing. Here's the fucking thing. They're not all streaming somewhere.
I know.
So like Universal botched this, right? These should all be on Peacock.
Yeah, they were not long ago. I'm pretty certain that they were all on Peacock.
Right.
And then I went on because I've only ever seen Too Fast, Too Furious and Fast 5. And so I was
one of those is great.
Yeah, exactly. And half of the original. And I was like, I should watch these in earnest. And I went on Peacock, and they have like the 7th one or some shit.
Right.
Like one.
Right.
I'm not paying for the Fast and the Furious movies. I'll tell you right now.
I love those movies, and I'm not doing that. If I'm paying for them, I'm getting a Blu-ray, like a Blu-ray collection.
You're right. Yeah.
I'm not renting the Fast and the Furious. It's crazy. So I had to like log into my in-laws' cable to go on the True TV app to watch 1 through 5 because they're on cable
TNT.
apps. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm able to get them there. But
I don't like
crazy.
That because a lot of times when you do that, like if you watch something on AMC's thing, they crop it. It's all they don't keep the original aspect ratio.
No, not ideal.
That drives me nuts. Your AMC American Movie Classics, and you're cropping my aspect ratio. I remember a few years ago, I had never seen Halloween 3. That's right, 3, the third Halloween movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it was available on AMC. So I went to watch it, and it was in 16:9, like fit the whole TV. And if you are a frequent watcher of movies, you can immediately tell. You're like, oh, this composition is all wrong. Like, this is fucked up.
It is now innate to my brain.
Yes. And I looked it up, and it is like the widest. It's a John Carpenter's cinematographer. So it's like the widest, most beautiful aspect ratio. And I'm like, I don't care if it's a shitty Halloween sequel. I cannot watch it half cropped. I can't do it anymore. Did it with VHS for years. It's over. That's over. No going back.
I can suck it up in the. I don't think the aspect ratio was too bad on these. They were likely cropped, especially like these were like it's early in the morning. I'm like feeding my daughter. I wasn't too worried about it.
If I've seen it before, or it's a comedy or something, or if it's like cropped like the tiniest amount, which it often is, not exactly 16:9 or whatever, but
it's not always a deal breaker, but I never want it.
No, I mean, if it's cropped enough to where you can just tell immediately, you're like, oh no, no, this won't do.
I will say though, the fucking commercial. I've talked about how like commercials kind of aren't a big deal and kind of aren't bothering me, especially on Tubi. Cable ungodly. I think I've talked about how I've talked about my conspiracy theory, how I think Tubi loads more ads onto stinkers. I think Hide and Seek had a lot of ad breaks because I think they were like, this guy's gonna bail on this halfway through, and we want to like really get our money's worth of his viewing time. I didn't. I watched the whole fucking thing. You're welcome, Tubi. It was it was every 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes on the dot. And it was cut for this. It wouldn't like come in. It had like the cable fade outs, right? Like an act break, which I like. I kind of hope Tubi can get that together. Like cut it, fade out.
Right.
We're probably not going to get it, but I want it. Have an algorithm do it.
Do you think the programmers at Tubi are like obsessed with you? They're like, this guy finishes everything. Like he finished the foot fetish movie.
I did. I watched the whole fucking thing.
You're like famous to them. Like your information's on the wall. You're in the Tubi Hall of Fame.
I deserve to be. That's exactly where I want to be. Anyway, so it would be every 15 minutes and like 8 to 10 ad breaks. Sometimes the same ad in the same break.
Yes,
there's a Hertz Rent-A-Car thing with Tom Brady that would play 2 or 3 times in a row. Just the worst way to watch Fast Five.
Not the way the filmmaker intended, certainly. I saw Fast Five in the theater, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. I have not seen it since. I just saw Fast Five the one time in the theater.
Fast Five I think is really, really good. I'm not going to say it's not messy. It has all the trappings of a franchise thing, right? It's a little in there. I think there are set pieces in this movie that are the best action set pieces to not have Tom Cruise in them. If that makes, you know what I mean? Like,
it's a lot of fun. I remember when the original Fast and Furious came out. What year did that come out? 2001, 2000.
That sounds right.
I was probably just at the beginning of high school, much in my film geek phase, and I just thought it was so stupid. Like, and everyone was so hyped on it, and I was like, the acting's bad, the writing's bad. I'm too good for this.
Right.
But Fast Five felt like they were in on the joke more, if that makes sense.
It knows what it is.
Exactly. They had figured out what worked about these movies, and they leaned into it.
It starts from I think I was thinking about this while watching them. I think the action sequences all start from "this would be cool," like with a 14-year-old boy's excitement of like, it'd be cool if this fucking thing, and then the thing, and then they just work backwards from there.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's how they did Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, they were like,
yeah.
Spielberg's like, okay, I want this, and I want this, and I want this to happen here.
Fast Five and Raiders of the Lost Ark, the same. So I'm up to 7. I had to skip 6 because it's literally not anywhere. 6 is not available, which wasn't that heartbreaking. It's not that good. It's kind of Fast Five, but not as good. But 7 is the one that is available on Peacock. If you want to give one a go, 7 is the one that Paul Walker died in the middle of, tragically, and it is pretty amazing. It's James Wan, who I really like. I'm usually a horror guy, but it has a couple action things under his belt. It's amazing how, considering his lead actor died in the middle of the production, how he steered that ship in, and that movie's still pretty fucking good.
Yeah, that's wild.
Considering his lead actor, or co-lead actor, if you will, is mostly made up of CGI mock-ups of his face on his brother's body and dialogue unused from previous movies.
Yeah, it didn't work well. It didn't work well in Rise of Skywalker.
No, it did not. It worked actually pretty great here.
Wow.
The movies, it's not Fast Five for me. The best ones are either 5 or 7. People usually go between those. I'm a 5 guy, but 7 hits on all. It probably should have been the end. Should have been the last one. But
and here we are, 3 movies later, and threatening for 2 more.
I've had my fun with eight's a slog. I might just skip that one and watch 9 again. 9 I watched on a plane, which I've talked about before. I think all movies average out to fine. A lot of my big Fast and the Furious fan friends did not like 9. I thought it was fine, but I watched it on a plane. The real peak way to watch Fast and the Furious on a plane. But 10 is apparently a disaster. So
even the people who love these stupid movies are like,
here's the thing.
Nah.
Here's the thing. There is a magic to the stupid, right?
Right, yeah, of course.
There's a certain percolating. It's not just the fact that it's big and it's stupid. It's mixed with a certain weird sincerity.
Right.
Both knowing what it is and
stupid,
kind of not.
Yeah, I don't say stupid in a completely derogatory way. I like a lot of stupid things. And stupid can be done really well. And it has been frequently in that franchise. Certainly.
Right. It's a friend of mine had phrased like the franchise has officially taken off from stupid fun to just stupid.
I think when the last one came out, you had a buddy who had a really good blurb on Letterboxd about it.
It was Trace Dean, who's been on the show before.
Yeah,
you gotta just stop defending.
Yeah.
I had fun with 9, but like I said, plain. This was the movie Justin Lin, who I really like. Justin Lin, who's been with the franchise since Tokyo Drift, the third one, fucking slammed a door and quit.
Yeah.
In the middle of production, and the movie didn't have a director for a little while. They kind of just kept shooting.
Right, yeah.
Because it was millions of dollars a day to like hold locations and stuff.
I mean, something happened for a director to quit. Like Go ahead.
My understanding is Vin Diesel's a fucking madman, according to the Hollywood Reporter. So I'm just going to talk about the Hollywood Reporter article about why Justin Lin quit, because I found it fascinating. Once again, he's been with this franchise forever. He's the Fast Five director. So he goes from 9 to they're going straight into 10. He doesn't get a break. They begin production on 10 immediately. Justin Lin has written the script himself. It is his understanding they will be shooting his script. That is what in his mind, script was locked, right? Vin Diesel, apparently, who is a producer on these films now, he's the Tom Cruise of Fast and the Furious, of like they're his movies. But he's dumb and bad. I love him to death, but he's not good at this.
Tom Cruise at least
has good at this.
He knows how to pick talented people and let them do their thing, right?
Tom's extremely good at making a good movie. Vin's transforming slowly but surely into Steven Seagal like a werewolf. But Diesel apparently would hire writers just on a writing action scenes basis, which he was yes, no, yesing, and then coming to Lin like, fit this in the script. I believe Vin Diesel was also coming to set with new pages that they were doing that day. Vin Diesel, it's a key problem here of Vin Diesel also kind of thinks he's Dominic Toretto. Like,
yeah, I mean that when Paul Walker tragically passed, that put all the power in Vin Diesel's corner. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now he is the face of the franchise.
So now there's this, I think, like this big issue of like, it didn't have a director for half the time. Half the cast won't be on set with Vin Diesel because he's a nightmare man. And Vin Diesel also is fully aware this is his cash cow. Like, this is it.
Right.
This was kind of supposed to be like the last one. And then it was supposed to be a 2-part last one. And then at the premiere, he's like, actually, we're going to make it a 3-part because it's not the last one. My understanding is this movie at 2.5 hours just ends.
Right. Oh, I read the clip, what the cliffhanger is. I know exactly what happens.
Don't tell me.
Say it.
I bet I'm going to be mad at it.
I think you are. I think you are, Brian.
Oh fuck! The movie can't hurt me, right? Like I don't think it can hurt me. I'm not. It's so I'm expecting to have a couple of beers at my Alamo Draft House and enjoy watching it with my buddies.
But see, if it almost like if it doesn't even hurt you, that's worse. If it's just nothing.
Right. That is true. I'm looking forward to it. It's kind of, if it's bad, I'm gonna have a lot to talk about. If it's good, I get to be like, fuck you, it was fun. I'll probably actually be. I'm expecting to be charitably in between. It's like, it was bad, but I had fun.
Sure.
But maybe not. I hear there's not a lot of action scenes.
What? That's
Yup.
rough.
That's rough. It's 2.5 hours, buddy.
Wait. Wasn't he bringing people in to write action scenes?
Yep. It's apparently, from what I'm reading, it seems to have done the opposite of the Furious 7 mode. James Wan understood the assignment. Anytime you have 2 seconds to think about the plot of Furious 7, Jason Statham comes in with a machine gun, and oh no, we gotta run.
Yeah.
Brilliant. It's a brilliant screenplay in not making you think about how it makes no fucking sense.
Wild.
I don't know. If I have something to say, I'll talk about Fast X next week. I probably won't.
I think the way you're heading into Fast X is how I'm going to be heading into Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Yeah, I think that's all you can do.
Which is like, I don't think I'm going to love this or like it a lot, but I'm going to be charitable and hopefully I'll have fun.
Right.
Fingers crossed.
So we'll see. I don't get to see a lot of movies now. I still see more than the average American who apparently sees one movie in a theater a year.
So that really means most people see less than that, because you and I are bringing the average up like quite a bit.
Yeah, right.
People like us, yeah.
Yeah. But I now, anytime I get to go to the movie theater, like, I'm at the movies. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, but see, I think that almost puts more pressure on it, because what about Dungeons and Dragons? You were like, oh,
that's true.
This is the movie I get to go watch.
I still had a good time seeing a movie with my wife, and like then we had a drink after, we talked about it. Like, it was fine. It was a fine movie going experience.
You got to hate on it together. Yeah,
exactly. It's fun to talk about movies. Movies are great. Mm-hmm. We've been doing it for a half hour now, 45 minutes.
Yeah, we should have a show where we just talk about movies.
Wow. Before we get to it, before we go down that rabbit hole, should we talk about Smallville?
What? What's Smallville? Yeah, let's talk about Smallville.
Great. All right, this week we watched Forever. It's the 21st episode in the 4th season of Smallville, the 87th episode overall. It aired May 11th, 2005. I know this, of course, because I'm reading directly from smallville.fandom.com. Zach, does this episode strike you as one they were saving a little money on? I think there was an element of like, we need a cheap one this week.
Well, I didn't think about that until you said it, but the sets are literally the high school, Smallville High School.
Talon shows up for a second too, but
the Talon,
the other one would be, they have the house.
The other one would be Smallville High School again, in a different context, and then a cabin, but it's just like one room. Right. And then, like, I guess the woods.
There is the woods.
But it's not like
there
big
is some
location.
Outdoor stuff.
It's not like a location like in the city where you have to control traffic and people and elements. It's like just the forest.
I don't think necessarily this isn't a bottle episode by that definition. But, like, I think this is the cheaper one. Which makes sense. We're going into the finale. This episode feels like not something happened, quote unquote, but I don't think this is the episode as pitched. Does that make sense?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a middling.
with some really goofy bits. Like there's some
Yes.
really goofy bits.
Yeah,
but
the
there's
freak
some
of the
okay
week
stuff.
thing is just batshit crazy wild. There's actually some decent Lex, Lionel, Genevieve Teague stuff. Like like we said, Lionel makes that interesting just by being there.
Right.
Um,
So Chloe is preparing the last issue of the Smallville Torch and signs her photographer Brendan Nash's yearbook. Do you still have your yearbook lying around? I think I've lost mine.
I can see it right now.
I got every. Yeah, wow.
It's on my bookshelf.
Wow. Can you? Are there signatures in it? Did people sign it?
Oh yeah.
Can you read me one signature from?
Oh my gosh.
Your high school yearbook. I'm vamping right now because Zach is going. Zach, he's
let me
sitting
try
back
not
down.
to get canceled by something someone else wrote.
Just don't give a name. Just unless you think unless you know they'd be fine with it. But
let me see. Let me find a good one.
Zach's flipping through the book.
I gotta find a decent one.
Yeah, definitely. I don't necessarily miss. I don't think my yearbook is around, and that's fine. I was looking through my wife's at one point, and that was fun. And I was like, oh man, I kind of wish I had mine to show you. That's the only time I kind of wish mine was around.
Hell yeah! Out of school, down with Bush. Have fun making movies. Hopefully, we'll see a few. This is evidence that I was, in fact, liberal even back in high school.
There you go. There you go.
Down with Bush, Brian.
Down with Bush. So, Chloe is puzzled by the lack of people outside. She goes out into the hallway and finds the place is deserted. Going into the locker room. Porky pigged it there real hard. Going into the locker room, she finds a petrified girl, seemingly frozen in wax. Zach, did that initially register to you as wax?
Okay, yeah.
I thought it was like ice at first.
Oh no, we need to talk about the wax. The power.
It took me a minute to realize it's wax. Because it looks like jizz.
I didn't know it was wax until you just said it now.
Oh God!
It looks like a glazed donut, like a donut glaze.
Yes, it's bad.
I thought what they were going for was he was freezing them.
That's what I thought as well.
Because people keep shattering when he knocks them over.
And you can kind of also underneath the glaze, they purposely show like an eye moving.
Right.
A couple of times. I haven't seen The Real House of Wax. I don't know if that's a thing.
When you knock wax over, when you knock a candle over, Brian, does it shatter?
Not to my experience. What is
the power? What is the power here?
It appears to be to turn people to wax.
And we are to assume this is a meteor power. Is that correct?
Right. It's never explained.
So I guess it's not necessarily a meteor power, but it is a superpower.
Right.
Do you think they wrote up a draft where they were like, yeah, the meteor shower hit, well, my dad brought me to a wax factory, and then they were like, no, fuck it. Just don't even.
I hope so. I hope that's the case. I would feel real good.
These green wax candles that they made with meteor rock for some reason. Yeah. They smell great. So let's unpack this. What's going on in this episode? Because I'm sure that we reveal it later in the episode, but let's just get to it now.
Yeah, definitely.
This kid who can turn people into wax kidnaps them and brings them to a full-scale recreation of Smallville High School.
Almost as if it was just the sets of Smallville High School.
a full-scale recreation inside an abandoned factory so that he can relive the last day of school forever and they don't have to move on to the rest of their lives.
Right.
Couple things. First of all, how long did it take him to make this recreate? There was a line where
there's something about his dad.
Right. He said he threatened to turn his dad's wife into wax if he didn't build him this high school recreation.
And I believe there's also a line about how it's not fully finished.
Okay.
It's either still
pretty huge. It's about
pretty
as
big.
much as it's as much as the school as we normally see.
Right, there is a full locker room.
There's several hallways, locker room, the torch. Let's unpack the reality of that. Of the dad has to build a recreation of Smallville High School in a warehouse. How does that go?
It doesn't. It's very stupid. I definitely, for the longest time through this episode, thought it was like extra dimensional. You know?
No,
it's not. Clark's able to get in later by opening a lock.
So, did he like take a bunch of pictures of the school and then give them to his dad? He's like, yeah, recreate. Okay, like that. Because there's like posters hanging up on the wall and
I had questions about that. So so high schools, right? You know how like if your town has like several high schools, if you go into some of the other high schools, they're basically identical. There's certainly like companies that build high schools and there's a blueprint. They don't design a new high school every time.
Sure.
So maybe it was just like make the thing and then I'll decorate it.
But there's so much shit on the walls that would have taken months.
It's almost as if this is stupid.
Yeah. Because here's the other thing I was going to bring up. He wants to really, he doesn't want to leave high school, and he's like, I want to cherish this moment forever. Has any high schooler ever felt that way? At the end,
no.
It's every single person, even people who liked high school, like me, were excited to move on. We were excited about the future.
Right.
So not only do we have to accept that this teenager has these feelings at all, but we have to accept he had them at the beginning of the school year, intense enough to be like, let's build a recreation of the school. And then
it's not even like a football player or like someone who's like really peaked. It's the photographer for the school newspaper, the A+ #1 cool guy. And I understand the photographer's kind of like the point. Like, I see what they did there, but also boo.
Is this the most absurd scheme yet from a freak of the week? It's up there.
It's up there. It's fucking up there. If anyone can remember anything, please let us know in the Discord. You can find a link in the description. But I think this is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. I mean, you go ahead, continue. That's pretty much all I have to say about this episode. So.
All the doors are locked, the phones are dead, and the windows has walls. Just reading directly from the Windows has walls outside them. We got a new wiki writer. This is someone else. The old wiki writer didn't slip up like this.
He didn't like season 4. He just skipped season 4 altogether.
Yeah. So she's apparently in an abandoned factory. I noticed that like establishing shot, but I didn't register that's where they were supposed to be.
Oh, did you notice that the establishing shot was a really blurry stock photo?
Yup.
I mean, that must have been because it was aired in standard or whatever, and they were like,
right. I'm sure it looked fine on standard.
It looks
bad. Okay, the Kents are unhappy that Clark plans on going to CKU and staying nearby so that he can help out on the farm. I like this kind of. I think Jonathan can be a little more graceful about it. But I get, that's kind of the point. He's very prideful.
Some real like denial / projection going on from Johnny K.
Right.
Of like,
right.
Oh, you think we need you, huh? Well,
you do, bitch. You do, bitch.
You clearly do.
And but I do think this is an interesting turn. Not that this like arc will go on. We need Clark to stay near the titular Smallville because also this doesn't make any sense. He can get from Metropolis and
it's not an episode with issue. The Flash. He and the Flash would run to Mexico in like 5 minutes or whatever.
This is not a problem.
No.
That it seems like our normal when we were teenagers, our commute to our high schools seems like Clark's trip to Mexico. I
promise I drove further to my college than he would be going.
Right. It's okay. Okay. So, meanwhile, Chloe is desperately trying to get outside internet access. We don't quite know how he's blocking this all off. I guess they're underground. And finds 2 students who claim they are playing along. She meets Brendan, who clearly knows what's going on and doesn't want high school to end. When she wonders how he can keep them there, he petrifies one student the same way as the one earlier.
In wax / icing
wax.
Ice. Whatever it is.
Do you think this power and this premise could have been done better? Or do you think it's a fucked premise?
Oh, I'm sure it could have been done better. I mean, but the logic of it is.
I think we've seen the concept of like high school. We can't leave high school done better. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like this.
Sure.
But I feel like Buffy had a similar one, and it was better than.
I mean, the concept of someone recreating the high school somewhere is interesting, but it's just so absurd in this context.
Right. Right. It's why did he do that? Because we have the Smallville High sets.
Right. Yeah. He also recreated the Luthor Corp mansion in another warehouse.
Yep. At the real Smallville High, Clark and Lana are discussing graduation and their plans. Clark reveals that he's going to Central Kansas. Lana is happy about this since she has decided to stay in Smallville. Clark and Lana are then fairly surprised when he discovers that Chloe and a number of students have not shown up to receive their graduation uniforms. There's some Clark-Lana googly eyes here.
I wrote down, the chemistry is back, baby.
It's back,
officially
baby.
Back. It's officially back.
I don't know why they put it under a basket. Why they made me doubt it. It's good. It's good when it's going. I forgot about it. I just forgot about it because they fucking haven't used it.
We haven't cared about this relationship in a long time.
In our podcast time, it's been months.
Oh yeah, I think it was
full year.
I mean, I think it was season 2. The end of season 2 was the last time that we was invested in it. I mean, I guess at the beginning of season 3 when he goes to Metropolis or whatever, but.
So as long as we've been uploading podcast versions, we have not cared about it.
No.
About that.
Season 1, fully invested.
Right. But like, all right, I'm buying it again. Like, man, you probably shouldn't have dropped this. It's good. Yeah. It's good. Lex is preparing to excavate the Kawachi Caves when Jason shows up and darts him unconscious. They want the stone Lionel got hold of from Genevieve and plans to use Jonathan. Sorry, I thought that was a continuation. It's a new paragraph. It does feel like the cool ending from last week of like the poisoning. Nah.
Didn't work. Wasn't effective.
Didn't work.
I mean, he did get the stone from her.
Right.
But she didn't. She was like, I'll still fuck with Lex all I want, I guess. So.
Right. It's
Question.
Jason. Yes.
It is revealed probably later in the wiki, but we'll talk about it now.
Great.
That Lionel, the stone he got from Genevieve, he has since given to Lana.
Okay, right.
And that's the one she reveals she has later in the episode. That's a deleted scene, right? That has to be.
Right. She's outside the school. She's outside the school.
I know, but Lionel giving her the stone can't be off screen. That's
right.
Like, why would he do that?
Right. I can't even say I put it together. He throws one line out. He's like, I gave it to her because she is the rightful heir or whatever. But like, that had to have been something they shot. It would be shocking if they didn't, or there was a scene written. They're like, we don't have time for this. Like, there was an intended like. I honestly didn't put it together. I saw her with the stone. I was like, I don't know, maybe she just has one. Right? She had one.
It's because who gives a fuck about the stones anyway? It was like,
fuck. Make them smooch. Why the fuck are we spending time on rocks? This could be time they could be looking at each other wanting to smooch. You fucking idiots. Like the fucking half-ass MacGuffins from like my Dungeons and Dragons game. You put it in your teen soap opera. Jonathan is determined to get along without Clark, so he doesn't have to stay around. Martha believes they can't run it by themselves. Correctly.
This is great because it like that scene begins like Jonathan's chopping wood, all angry, like practically like muttering to himself, like stupid alien thinks I need him to run the farm. And kid. Oh, it's great.
I do think it's good, and I like it. I like that Johnny K isn't coming at it from like, you need to stay and run the farm. And the show wouldn't work. That wouldn't be Johnny K in a million years. Johnny K would be the one like, don't do it. I'll figure it out. And like Clark being like, nah, buddy, you can't do you can't do that, buddy. And Clark, it's worth noting, because I know none of you are watching this, but Clark isn't peeved about it. Clark doesn't even see. Clark is just like, yep, that's what I got to do. And also, I can go anywhere in the blink of an eye. Right.
I have the most superpowers anyone with superpowers has ever had. So, like, my life is fine. I can do whatever.
I am still presently in DC Comics continuity considered like the big guy. I'm such the big fucking guy. When people have to write a movie about me, they don't know what the fuck to do. Anyway, there's 6 seasons of this show left. So Clark and Lana notice Chloe's absence. Meanwhile, Lex wakes up bound to a chair along with Lionel. Genevieve and Jason plan to use Lex for leverage. Snore. Clark checks in with Lois. Who hasn't seen Chloe either, but puts him on to Brendan at the high school. So, Lois here says something at some point here about how the last day of school, that's a prime skip day. You can just skip that day.
Right.
Which is such a funny, I never quite understood, like, skipping the last day of school, the day you don't have to do anything but, like, hang out. Like,
right, yeah, and it's all fun.
Right. I don't know about your high school. I remember my last day of senior year, I think, was, we didn't have, like, seniors didn't have a proper, like, last day. It was kind of just finals, and then your last final, you were done. I think we had a last day after finals where it was like go over what we're gonna do at graduation and like just like going through the motions. Oh yeah, maybe we had that. Yeah. I still think we were out early, but but like the last day, so like freshman through junior, the last day of school, there weren't classes or periods or anything. It was just a free roam.
Right. Yeah.
Like that was the best day of school. That was
right. Right. That's the fun day. I would not skip that day. Absolutely not.
No. There's no point. Skipping school is to avoid responsibilities.
Not to avoid fun.
Right. At the high school, Lana has one of the stones, and then Brendan petrifies her for his collection. Back at the fake school, Brendan reveals to Chloe that he also has Lana and unpetrifies her so she can have a friend. Chloe brings her up to speed and reveals that they have a plan.
The plan is basically to hit the guy on the head, which I wrote down was like, why doesn't someone hit this fucking guy on the head? There's a lot of stuff around.
That's generally, he has wax powers. He's not like strong. He's a fucking photographer.
Just don't let him touch you. He's like wants to be buddy. So sneak up on him, hit him in the back of the fucking head really hard. And that's how you get out of there.
There you go.
They come up with this elaborate scheme where she pretends to have a crush on him to get him close. And then the plan just ends with them hitting him on the head anyway. I don't know.
Can't keep Brian and Zach in a fake high school.
No, absolutely not. We would be out in time for lunch, bro. We would be out of there so soon.
What's this over here?
Yeah, we would annoy him until he let us out, just like within 20 minutes. He'd be like, oh, this was a fucking mistake.
So walk us through your plan here. This is pretty identical. How long have you been working on this?
Yeah, your dad built this? Whoa, bro. You could have had him do so many different cool things with that money.
We would have been turned to wax. It would have just been us waxified pointing at things. But our instead of the eyes moving, it'd still be our mouths still talking about how dumb this is.
Your powers are dumb. Your powers are really stupid.
Jason and Genevieve begin torturing Lex with a hot poker. And when they threaten to take out an eye, Lionel reveals that Lana has the stone, as she is the chosen one. Don't worry, that won't come back. Genevieve appeals to Jason to let her get the stone from Lana, but Lionel warns not to underestimate Lana due to Isabel. I forgot about Isabel. Clark and Lois check out Brennan's dark room to find plans for the fake high school.
And Clark makes the biggest leap maybe in the show's history. They're going through his stuff. They find a blueprint of the school. And he says, he must have rebuilt this part of the school somewhere. What? Look, Clark, you're right. He's right.
He's right.
But what? If you were at high school, Brian, you and I both went to high school together and we're seniors together, pretend.
Okay.
I don't show up for school.
Great.
You, for some reason, have some reason to believe someone else at school might have something to do with it. Mm-hmm. You go to an area of the school where they spend time. You find a blueprint of the school. Is your leap and your next thought, this kid must have kidnapped Zach and brought him to a full-size recreation of the school that he built somewhere?
Me, Brian? Yes, absolutely, immediately. A normal person? No.
Yeah, well, now that you've seen this episode, that you would be like, oh,
Me,
I know what's going on here.
That's the first thing I was honestly kind of on to that hunch. You're a little late to the recording, and I'm like, someone's taken Zach to an exact recreation.
yeah, they took him to an apartment that looks exactly like his apartment.
That's the first thing that pops into my head. So I'm not the right person to ask.
He must have built a recreation of the school somewhere. They don't put breadcrumbs at all for that.
That's just, it's 5:00. We want to go home.
Yeah, I want to go home. So Clark just kind of knows.
Yeah. Hey, should we breadcrumb that a little bit? Meh, pages are already printed out.
No.
So one of the captive students mentions to Brendan that Chloe has a crush on him, and she plays along long enough for Lana to knock him unconscious from behind. Like we said, just hit him with something. They grab the keys and head for the door, trying to flee the factory. But Brendan catches up with the third girl, Haley, and petrifies her. He then kills her by pulling her off her head and threatens to do the same to Chloe and Lana.
Yeah, I wrote down.
A lot of people get out of this one okay. Not that girl.
No, I wrote down tough beat for Haley.
Yeah. Graduation's gonna be Smallville High has to have like an in memoriam at their fucking graduation, right? It's a couple days.
No. Spoiler alert for the end of the episode. They get out of the fake school. They're back at the regular school for the last day, which was the same day. They're back at the school and they're like, oh man, we're gonna miss blah 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 blah. Apparently Haley doesn't get a funeral.
No,
we're just skipping over that part of the tragedy.
Imagine Haley's fucking parents. Like, oh my God, she died days before graduating high school. Our beautiful angel daughter. Oh, how'd she die? She got turned to wax and then had her head pulled off by the boy who could turn people to wax.
and no one gave a fuck. At the school.
No one, not a vigil, now, granted, Smallville High has a fucking body count. So, like, I understand shit gets lost in the shuffle. But, woof, Haley. We should have, Zach, hear me out, we should have a vigil for Haley. On this podcast.
We did it in memoriam once.
That's it.
The girl's family was like, oh man, I bet those other kids who are trapped with her are scarred. Nope, back at school an hour later. Totally fine.
An hour later. Just like, that was weird.
To be fair, Lana has been through a lot. Lana is callous
to this.
Yeah.
No. Hey, if I'm out in a couple of hours, don't threaten me with a good time.
Oh, shit. Wild.
Lionel works on Jason to turn him against Genevieve by appealing to his feelings about Lana. Jason is torn between shooting him and going to get Lana and storms out. Lex and Lionel manage to get free and flee with Jason in pursuit. Jason, who is just a different character from the earlier in this season. He's just a different guy.
Yeah. What are the writers having us believe though? They want us to buy that because Lana doesn't want to be with him anymore. He has succumbed to his mom's manipulation and is now a violent maniac.
I think kind of it was low-key a secret op the entire time. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think yes. So it's supposed to have been a secret op, but he fell in love, and so he was like not going to do the op, and then now he is again. I think
that makes the most sense to me of a completely nonsensical storyline.
Right? Yeah, it makes sense.
Is this the worst storyline so far? The worst ongoing thing?
It is certainly the worst season long.
Yeah. There's nothing this bad so far.
There have been bad arcs over 4 episodes, but this one went the distance, man.
Every episode reminds you, like, oh, by the way, there's this storyline. It sucks.
Yeah.
Hey, there's we had 2 great episodes in a row, and even they were not immune to like, hey, don't forget, there's a storyline over here that sucks. Oh, were you having fun? Look over here.
I wonder if it's because they were locked into where the storyline ultimately leads in the finale.
Yeah.
that they couldn't get away from it.
Right.
But
Were they really excited about the finale? Or had this already gone south by this point and they were like, fuck, what the fuck did we do?
Yeah. I mean, they tried to fix it a few times throughout the season and nothing worked. Bringing Lionel in helped a little bit, but
not the storyline itself, just making it watchable, you know?
Right, exactly.
Because the story didn't get better.
No. No, certainly not.
Do you think on Talkville they'll get real about it? I haven't been listening, so I don't know how in depth.
They've been. I listen once in a while. They get real about as much as they can, and they contact the head writers when they can, and they talk about the realities of it. It's actually pretty interesting a lot of the time. I liked it. I liked what I listened to. It just fuck. Who can listen to a fucking podcast? Anyway, thanks for listening to our fucking 90-minute nightmare mess. It's I would love to know what the fuck happened here. Right.
Something happened. This isn't what no one's sitting there like going, this is going well.
No, I think they certainly must have known at that point.
They're sweating. Everyone who has to write this and like, oh, fuck, I gotta fit this shit in.
Yeah. The Stones. Whoever pitched the Stones at the beginning of the season was like,
they were sitting alone at lunch. Hey, got my Stone pages in, bitch.
Oh, man.
And that writer would then go on to develop wax powers, would build a recreation of their office, and would keep them all in a fake writer's room so that they could keep living through the Stone storyline forever. We're almost done with the Stones.
We are.
We're so close.
Oh, yeah. Memory serves the season-long arc next season much, much better.
I remember liking it. I remember thinking season 5 was a highlight.
Yeah, I do too. Yep.
All right, so Jason gets ahead of them, and a near shot sends Lionel tumbling. But Lex gets the drop on him, and Jason flees to the edge of a cliff over a river. Very temperate Kansas woods.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth, Kansas does have significant woodlands. They don't look like this.
They also have 7 or 8 gorges.
Yeah, right. Jason confronts Lex with Clark's involvement in all the mysterious events, but Lionel shoots him, and Jason is like maybe gonna tell Clark or Lex some stuff, and then Lionel pops him in the shoulder. Not in a lethal spot, but enough to knock him backwards.
But we know that Jason doesn't know shit about Clark, right?
That's true.
What the fuck does he know about Clark? He doesn't know anything about Clark.
Fucking shit. He doesn't know fucking shit. The fuck do you know? The fuck do you know, Jason?
No. Lana doesn't know.
Do you know?
Lana doesn't know. This guy sure as fuck doesn't know.
This guy doesn't know shit. He's full of shit.
If he knew, he would tell Lana.
Right? Jason, blah, 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 blah. So Jason gets shot. He falls into the water below. Lex still doesn't trust Lionel and warns him that if anything happens to Lana, there'll be hell to pay.
Yeah, the storyline, it's kind of them bonding over being captured, but then at the end, Lex is like, yeah, I still don't fucking trust you, and I don't blame him.
Yeah,
Lionel he's going to have to work hard to earn back some trust.
Hey, you're kind of a bad dude.
Yeah, you've done some rough stuff.
Clark and Lois arrive at the Nash warehouse, and Clark sends Lois off while he uses his strength to get in. He sends Lois I'll look for a key. You find another way in. Clark, once again, just say you have IBS. Or I feel like, hear me out. Clark could have pulled a subtle, break the lock and just be like, oh, it's unlocked, right?
Or it's rusty and old.
Right. It's, this is rusty. Crush it in your hands.
Yeah, the idea of, give me a second. I'm going to look for a key. It's the laziest excuse.
What are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about?
Like, they didn't even have to do that. They could have just had Lana be like, I'm going to check around this side. Or Lois say, I'm going to go check over here. And then Clark just hangs back.
That immediately would have been way better. That would have been better immediately. It's like, Zach, I'm trying to picture, we're of course trying to break into a fake high school in a weird warehouse. And you're like, I'm going to go look for a key. I'm like, do you have to take a shit? Like, is that what's happening here? Are you like trying to like suggest to me to go around the corner while you like go pop a squat? That's the only thing that makes sense to me, because that's
going to be code from now on.
Thing to say. Yeah.
Brian, I have to go look for a key.
Shout out to everybody who is listening to the show while they're looking for a key.
What if he found one? He's like, oh, fuck, there's a key right here. That's fucking weird.
You have to send us that key. Okay. So blah, 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 blah. Clark finds a petrified Chloe and Lana, while Lois finds her own way through the vents, but is petrified by Brendan. He grabs a bat to break her, but Clark blocks his strike and tries to talk him into facing reality. When Brendan grabs Clark, his powers backfire, slowly petrifying himself. He tries to break Lana, and Clark rescues her as Brendan falls to a shattering death. With Brendan's death, everyone reverts to normal.
That whole sequence was a real whatever.
Sure. It's been roughly time for this episode to end, I guess.
He is Clark. He touches Clark, and the powers reverse on him for unknown reasons. But okay, fine.
Right. At the barn, Jonathan and Clark discuss his going to college and the fact that Jonathan stayed with the farm rather than going to college himself. On the good scene. It's a good scene. John Schneider's very good. Tom Welling's very good. This podcast once again is pro Tom Welling on this show.
Yeah, we are, especially this season. I noticed how warmly lit the barn was in that scene, and I was like, I just want to be in that barn with them. I never wanted to be in a barn so badly in my life.
That's the only barn I want to be in.
I know. I want to go hang out in that barn.
I love with Smallville's warm lighting is a very specific, like, ooh, comfort serotonin.
Cozy.
For me.
It's cozy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
When they get those oranges in. Ooh. On the last day of school, Chloe takes down her wall of weird and closes up the torch. You don't have a successor?
I wrote down, do they just close the newspaper program when Chloe's done?
Were you was this a pretend newspaper?
I mean, she appears to have run the whole thing.
Right. It's a high school newspaper, babe.
This is why we have
that granted
teachers
billionaires who don't go to this high school read, but
they have subscriptions. Yeah. How did Lionel get that copy of that? It must be an online version. Or did he have like a kid at the school? He had a connection. He's got a paper guy.
Like, he's a billionaire, right? How much do you think Lionel would pay a kid to get the newspaper?
I'll give you $50. The kid's like,
that would be amazing. In high school, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
So Chloe takes down the wall of weird and closes down the torch. She, Lana, and Clark take off, and Chloe finds out in dismay that the other two are going to stay in Smallville. There's a little bit of kind of resetting Clark and Lana. Chloe's sad about it. Chloe's like, there's a good shot here, though, of Clark, Lana walking down the sidewalk. Chloe catches up to them, grabs Clark's arm. They walk away. They're friends.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yep.
I like that
And it's
shot.
a good needle drop.
Yes, I forget what that needle drop was.
I don't know if it's not like a famous song. It was just like a perfect, like that kind of.
That is Around the Way by Wonderlife. And that is the episode. You want to hear the superlatives in the yearbook?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Wendell Johnson was, I don't know who Wendell Johnson is, but he's the most likely to win the Nobel Prize.
He was the kid who got
Wendell
frozen.
Johnson's. That's the kids who got frozen in the hallway.
Yeah.
Chloe Sullivan is most likely to succeed. Clark Kent, most likely to be drafted into the NFL, which I would say he's Superman. That's correct. I'm surprised they didn't put like a Nietzsche line in there, like most likely to save the world.
But there's no way he could have been in the NFL or even college because they would have had to do so much drug testing and stuff, right?
Yeah, right. Lana Lang, most likely to be a cover girl. Haley Timmons was most likely to be a Sharks cheerleader. R.I.P. Haley. Instead, you're a bunch of wax on the ground. Lisa Mason, most likely to be a movie star. A lot of these are kind of the same thing.
I was most likely to be a talk show host.
That was you?
Yeah.
You could do a talk show.
I mean, we're kind of doing it right now, Brian.
Kind of. Most likely to have a famous podcast is certainly a superlative now.
Yeah.
Not us, buddy. Not us. I think my only appearance in the yearbook is my photo in like
I don't appear very much. I think it's like maybe 2 times. Yeah.
Brendan Nash is the most likely to be a famous photographer. Get it? Because he's a photographer in the episode. See that they and
that's
Delia Watkins.
That's not a superlative. Famous photographer.
That's just your career aspiration. And Delia Watkins is most likely to be a rock star. Let's see. Featured music, we got Mrs. Vander Sanden by Split Habit, On the Down by Tim Cullen, and we already talked about Around the Way by Wonderlife. Looking at notes here. When Chloe is taking down the wall of weird, the last newspaper article you see is called Triple Asteroid Threat Will Destroy the Planet. There is an incorrect spelling of asteroid. You don't have a place to talk here, Wiki. I'm not like fucking, oh, you misspelled X. Like, I don't give a shit. I get it. We're all fucking living our lives, and sometimes we misspell shit. Not a sign of intelligence. Spelling is a memorization thing. It's not intelligence. But that said, we don't throw rocks at glass houses.
But I like how we talk about the wiki like it's one writer doing all of it. Like,
because I believe it is.
This is like the Bible, right? Like we're like, some people believe it's one author, and some people believe it's a bunch of different people.
Let's see here. Chad Krochuk, who plays Wendell. Wendell, of course, is most likely to win a Nobel Prize. He's the guy who got waxed. Was Allison Mack's boyfriend in real life. Hope you got out of there, buddy.
That was before. Hope
you ran for it. Hope you're doing all right, buddy. Let's see here. This episode marks the last appearance of the Torch until Homecoming, the 200th episode of Smallville. Wow.
Homecoming.
Such a big part of the show up to this point.
Is top 5 best episodes of the show. Top 10.
I think I've seen this one. I liked it. Yeah. I saw that one.
It's the reunion. They go back to Smallville.
Yeah.
It's so
I didn't
good.
fully appreciate it because it's weird to like dive in when you
Right.
haven't like been there.
When we get there, Brian, you're going to shoot your wad. It's so good.
I think so. It's because
You're going to turn someone into a wax. You know what I mean?
great. Gross.
If you're listening to this without having seen the episode, that sounds like an absurd thing to say. But if you've seen it,
no, but like, you know how I've had it with a lot of shows. I have it with shows I really, really like, including this one, where like sometimes you kind of like simmer, let the water rise and not feel it to kind of get into its brand of cheesy.
yes.
I randomly watched a season 9 episode and I was like, wait, what the fuck is this? Like, but I'm sure once I get there, I'll be like, no, yes, good. Once I'm
good,
adjusted to the temperature.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I was talking to a friend about the show Lost back when it was on, and another person's like, that show sucks. And I'm like, really? You watched it? He goes, I just saw one episode. My sister was watching the season 4 finale.
Yeah, you can't do that shit.
And he goes, the island disappeared. That's so stupid. And I'm like, it doesn't start out absurd. It, like you said, it's the frog in a boiling water. You work your way up to it.
Right.
You can't turn a book to page 400 and be like, that's absurd.
It's this guy gets spider powers.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't even be that because that's the beginning of the movie. This guy's slinging webs everywhere. That's not a thing a person can do.
No, yeah. Like, you got to watch from the beginning if you want to criticize it.
Right.
Okay?
Right. I saw something here when I was scanning about a plot hole. Basically, fuck, I can't find it. Oh, when Lionel and Lex are held captive, Lionel refers to Lana as the Chosen One. This point is never explained or elaborated on in any subsequent episode to date, and some consider it a major plot hole. On the other hand, it may simply be that Lana was the chosen one for Isabel to have reincarnated in, or that she was chosen to unite the stones, something Clark was actually destined to do. It is possible that Lionel even made this point up as a way to dupe Genevieve and Jason. Sounds like it could have been any of those.
He did give the stones to her off screen for some reason.
Who the fuck? No, I'm sure the direction of this story changed multiple times based on whatever the last guy turned in.
I'm expecting they will talk a lot about this in Talkville.
I think they have to, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I think that's going to wrap things up here for us on the Talon Mix. Thank you so much for listening. Hey, if you want to come chat with us, there's a link to our Discord down in the episode description. There's also a link to our Patreon. No pressure, but if you want to help support the show, that does help us keep doing it. We do have some bonus stuff planned. We're a little behind, but we were talking about some fun ideas. I found the scripts for Superman Lives and Superman Flyby, and I would love to just cold read those with you, bud.
Let's do it.
See what happens.
Let's fucking do it. We need to bring on more people, like a cast, like just
we
table
gotta
read.
do that. Shit, we gotta do that. And if you want to listen to it, you gotta come to the Patreon. Zach, do you have a question for the Smallville gods?
Next week is the finale of this show.
Wow.
Of Smallville season 4, not of this show. I want to know, Smallville gods, is it going to kick ass?
Good night, everybody.